we do not use fingers and hands.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this machine is called a drill press. It's just like a drill you have at home that you hold with your hand, and you have a bit sticking out or a screwdriver bit, and you do like this. It's exactly the same thing, except it's a machine that sits here. And when we drill, the drill goes up and down. Now this part right here is called a chuck. Now why they call it that, I'm not really sure. This little part hanging on this chain is called the chuck key. Not this big flat circle, just this thing that moves inside the circle. It's what you lock and unlock the chuck with. And notice I'm putting the little peg with the teeth into these holes. And if I turn this little key counterclockwise, it loosens this, makes it get bigger, wider open. If I turn it clockwise, it tightens it. Now, 2 rules on this machine. First rule, always remove the chuck key before you turn it on. If you don't, this machine will spin, break the chain, and fling this chuck key. And I don't think you want this to hit you because it's not very light and it would hit you hard. So, always remove chuck key. Second thing is, we have feed levers. These are these bars with the kind of reddish knobs on the end. It feeds the drill bit down into whatever it is we're drilling. We use light, easy pressure on them. If we bounce it, it does a bad job in our wood, or you can chip the blade. If we push too hard, it either won't drill well and burn your wood, or you can even break the bit if it's a little bit. Okay? Now, let me show you how to actually put the bit in. I've got the bit out of the rack on the wall. I'm going to stick the end up inside there, and I have to tighten this. Now I can spin this by hand and get it snug. Now I need to make sure that I have enough drill bits sticking out of the chuck that'll go all the way through my block, because you can shove that bit up in there so far that it won't go through your wood. So you got to make sure it sticks out that much. Once it's in there snug, you put your chuck key in and tighten it up. And then make sure that chuck key gets out of the way. Now, one other thing that we did on this machine is we put a bracket in front of the on switch. And in that bracket there's a little hole. Now, I doubt your finger will go in there, but if it does, you can turn it on. That's not a problem. Well, the reason we did it is we want you to use the end of the chuck key to turn it on. Because if you're turning it on with the chuck key's not down here where you can get hurt. But when you're doing it, make sure you hold the chain up out of the way so it doesn't get twisted up in there. Okay? So we'll turn it on like that. I don't want to turn it on just yet because I want to show you one other thing. Now, before we drill the axle holes, we need to use this backer board. Now, we'll have one over here and it'll get drilled up. We'll put a new one, but it'll be a flat board over here with something written on it, so just look for it. We set it there because we want it to support our car, because this orange table on our drill has a big hole. We use it later, and I'll show you another day on what that's used for. But we need a backer board so our car doesn't tip down inside that hole when we're drilling, like this. So we put the backer board there. Now we're going to drill both holes in our car, both axle holes, here and here where I marked them. Now, when I drill, I want to keep my hands at least 2 inches away from any moving parts. So I line this up and I get ready to drill this hole. When I do this hole, I don't slide it over like this and hold it. That's too close. Spin it around, put the long part away from the bit so you've got something to hold on to. Now, we don't need to do any fancy lining up. We're just going to turn it on, and as we come down with our drill bit, we'll find the hole and we'll drill it. So let me turn this on and I'll drill it for you. Get chuck key out of the way. I'm going to use light, easy pressure. I'm just going to line up my hole and drill all the way through. Now, it's a little hard to tell when you get all the way through because that backer board is there. And see how it lifts up on me? If you don't hold down tight, it will lift up on you. So you got to make sure you're holding down tight. Now, since it drills into that backer board, it's hard to feel when it goes all the way through. So go down till the chuck just about hits. If you let it hit your paper, it tears it up a little bit. So don't go quite down that far. You can always take it off and look. If it didn't come all the way through, go back and drill farther. Then turn it around, drill your other hole. I'm not going to show you how because that's simple enough. Don't forget to ask permission before you use any machine. Make sure there's nothing sharp on it, because we're going to pick this up when we're all done and we don't want to cut somebody. And you'll file these all off till they're smooth and as round as you want them. You'll do both ends.
Okay.
All right, now we need to engrave our initials. The reason we're doing the engraving is for two things. One, so we know who it belongs to, and two, so we know which end is which, because our next measurements we're going to take from the end that we engrave on. Let me show you. This is our 17 5/8, now 17.5 inch metal. This is our engraver. It has a knob on the side, 0, actually 1 to 5. Turn it all the way up to 5, or the highest number that's on there. There's an on-off switch. Now before we can use it, we have to plug it in. There's a cord hanging from the ceiling that you plug into. And we're going to turn this on, but I'm not going to do it while I'm talking. When you turn it on, it vibrates and makes all kinds of goofy noises. We're going to go down here and put our initials into the metal, and you have to hold this thing tight and make it go where you want it to go in order for it to engrave nice and deep into your metal. So you just watch and listen. It makes lots of noise.